Show is only possible.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army. And now, ladies and gentlemen,
You're now about to witness the truth.
It's the Benjamin Dixon Show.
All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Benjamin Dixon Show. I am your host, Benjamin Dixon. It is Wednesday, May 25th, 2016. Thank you so much for joining us. I don't take it for granted. You could have been anywhere in the world today, but you decided to be here with me. At the top of the show, I want to take a second to thank every single one of you who support the Benjamin Dixon Show. We have just crossed 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, and that is that's a big deal. That's a big deal. So thank you for everyone who supports, everyone who has subscribed. We couldn't be here without you, and we're just beginning. We want to get to 100,000, right? So that's our next goal. Well, really, our next goal is going to be 25,000. So help us to get to 25,000, mainly because we just want to get the word out. We're doing a lot of hard work over here at the Benjamin Dixon Show, the Progressive Army, bringing you other shows, other programming, just giving you a very strong progressive voice. A fearless progressive voice, because when you're being hit on both sides, from liberals as well as from conservatives, you need people with a backbone. And if I don't have anything else, I've got a backbone. Not too afraid of much of anybody or anything, because why? Why would we be? Why would we be? I don't take anything. I don't get anything from the establishment. They're not going to give me anything. So I have absolutely no reason to care what the establishment says or what they approve of or what they expect of me. And if they don't expect anything of me, then that's even better, right? So anyway, you guys obviously can join the conversation tonight, 857-600-0518. We literally just crossed 10,000 right before the show. So thank you all again. I want to thank all of the financial supporters, everyone. That I think we're at to like 67 patrons. And unfortunately, I have my two other most recent patrons on the other side of the room over there. I have your names written down so I can thank you on air. So somewhere while I'm playing a clip or probably when somebody calls in, I'm going to reach over there and grab that list. I didn't have to tell you that, but yeah, since last night, I think last night we were short by about 100 or so, and so we've got 100 subscribers overnight. And I know there's a lot of other channels that are growing at lightning speed, but you know what? We're growing at the pace that we need to grow, and you're helping us do that. The Progressive Army is here. The Progressive Army is doing what we're not going anywhere. I guess I'm going to start with that at the top of the show, right? Okay, just so you know, we're talking about Hillary Clinton's emails, right? Let me give you the syllabus at the top. We're talking about Hillary Clinton's emails. We're talking about and yes, I forgot the best slide. There's always going to be something forgotten when you're a one-man show. We're going to talk about Hillary Clinton's email. We're going to talk about Donald Trump's violent rallies. We're going to talk about Debbie Wasserman Schultz and the woman I can't not talk about, Elizabeth Warren. We're going to talk about her. Yeah, let's actually start with the show. I wanted to talk about what's next, but we're going to start with the show. Let's go straight to email gate, whatever you want to call it, the Hillary Clinton situation. So Hillary Clinton is, Hillary Clinton is, I can't say that she's in trouble. It still remains to be seen what the outcome will be of this email situation, but it does go to confirm the Office of the Inspector General has basically a watchdog organization, a nonpartisan watchdog organization, has reviewed and released a review of their findings related to Hillary Clinton's private email server and her usage of that server. And the report is rather scathing. And it doesn't limit it to Hillary Clinton. It does go back and implicate past secretaries of state, including Colin Powell. But the focus is on Hillary Clinton because she is the only one that is under a federal investigation. So in their findings, it is much more than what Hillary Clinton's campaign has made it out to be. And I think that's the most telling thing in this entire conversation is the desire of Hillary Clinton supporters and her campaign and Hillary Clinton herself to minimize this as being absolutely nothing, when in fact the report has come out from the Inspector General's office that she has broken rules. They specifically said the word rules according to a piece of legislation that authorized them or required them to set said rules. So in effect, you can say that she broke the law, but in the actual language of the Inspector General report, they said that she did break the State Department rules, particularly. Well, actually, better yet, let me just put it on the screen for you so you can see it for yourself. Here's the first interesting thing. The Office of the Inspector General discovered multiple instances in which Secretary Clinton's personal email account sent and received official business email during the period from January 21st, 2009 to April 12th, 2009. For instance, the Department of Defense provided to the Office of the Inspector General in September of 2015 copies of 19 emails between Secretary Clinton and General David Petraeus on his official Department of Defense email account. These emails were not included in the Secretary's 55,000-page production. At a minimum, Secretary Clinton should have surrendered all emails dealing with State Department business before leaving government service. And because she did not do so, she did not comply with the department's policies that were implemented in accordance with the Federal Records Act. So at a bare minimum, she broke the rules by not turning over all of the emails that were a part of her official business. There are a set of emails that were left out, that she had an email exchange with General David Petraeus. But it gets worse. It gets worse, and they go on to say that two staff members reported to the Office of the Inspector General that in late 2010, they each discussed their concerns about Secretary Clinton's use of a personal email account in separate meetings. The director stated that the secretary's personal system had been reviewed and approved by the department legal staff and that the matter was not to be discussed any further. The Office of the Inspector General found no evidence that the staff in the Office of the Legal Advisor reviewed or approved Secretary Clinton's personal system. In fact, the slide that is missing is the slide that actually, from the report, they made it clear that had Hillary Clinton sought permission to use her server setup, her private email server, that she would have been turned down. So we got a lot of things going here, and there's actually more, right? And I'll get to a little bit more. But let's just start with these items. Number one, there were staff members who warned her or complained and were concerned about her email server, her private email server, and the usage of her private email accounts. They were told by her staff, by Hillary Clinton's staff, that this had already been approved and that this should not come up again. In other words, they were silenced and told to shut up about it. This goes back, if I'm not mistaken, let me look. Let's see how far this goes back. This goes back to 2010. As long ago as 2010, really within the first year of her taking office as a Secretary of State, the red flags were going off with staff members and warnings were being made, and that those warnings were being shut down, silenced. And this says a lot that I can give commentary on, and I'll give commentary in a moment. But I want to point out the fact that this has been going on, or the warnings have been going on for a long time, from the very beginning of her tenure as a Secretary of State. That's number one. So that's a violation. The main violation that's being pointed out is that even as she turned over and made this big overture as though she was being beyond transparent because she was turning over 55,000 pages of documents, it did not include 19 communications between she and General Petraeus, official business that, according to the Federal Records Act, she should have released before leaving government office. Now, I'm trying my best to save the commentary. The fact of the matter is, this is ammunition in the hands of the Republican Party. This is ammunition in their hands. It's something that they will use against Hillary Clinton from today through November and beyond. If she happens to get the nomination and she wins the White House, they are not going to let this go. They have a propensity to run things in the ground even beyond their true value. They're not going to let this go. They're going to dog her with this. So that's number one. Number two, Donald Trump is going to throw this in her face I'm not just talking, so Republicans in general, the best of Republicans, right? The John Kasich, if you think he's one of the most moderate and reasonable Republicans, he would bite and sink his teeth into this, and now amplify that by the ego of Donald Trump. This is something that's going to dog Hillary Clinton for a very long time, mainly because it shows a lapse of judgment, an amount of stubbornness, and an attitude that she's above the law. That's what it really shows. Because if warnings came and the professional culture in her office was such that they, one, lied and said that this had been approved, and we're seeing now that it was not approved, and two, if she had asked permission, it would not have been approved. But the professional culture that she fostered at the State Department at her time was such that they shut down any warnings about any inquisition, any questioning. They shut it down and said that it should not come back up. That's number one. So the culture itself is one that gives you that it really just goes in line with everything that you would think about Hillary Clinton and everything that they're saying about Hillary Clinton, that she's not trustworthy. And a narrative like "you're not trustworthy" is a simple enough narrative to stick. Now, you have a choice in this election, right? You have a choice to ignore this and pretend like this is just another Benghazi gate. Pretend like this is just something that's a witch hunt by the Republican Party, despite countless hours spent investigating it, right? You can just be like, you can ignore it, or you can admit that this is problematic. And this is something that at a minimum should help people make better decisions. Let's just put it there, right? I am not sure if this is going to, not only am I not sure, I'm positive. I'm positive that as it stands right now today, these results will not change the dial enough to actually have an impact on the primaries. I do think that this will have a serious impact on the general election. I think the die is cast already for the primaries. It's up to California. And we'll talk about California in a second, particularly with Chris Matthews. I forgot that's on the list. We'll talk about California. But if things keep going on the trajectory that is currently going on, Hillary Clinton will win the nomination. And that means we will have a candidate from the left side of American politics that has just another layer of baggage on top of the baggage she already has. So I'm afraid that this is just one big piece of baggage that's going to hunt her through the entire general election. And you know what? You guys earned it. They earned it. The DNC, they earned it. Congratulations. Congratulations. You got a candidate that is that's going to carry more baggage with her into the election than Donald Trump. Can you imagine how unlikely it is for somebody to have more skeletons and baggage in their closet than Donald Trump, we managed to find that candidate, and it's Hillary Clinton. All right, so let's break apart this this expectation. Different subject. Let me shift gears. Let's break apart this expectation that we as good Democrats, or we as good people who oppose Donald Trump, are people who are just not Republicans, that if we're good and we do what we're supposed to do, that we're somehow supposed to just excuse this and find a way to defend Hillary Clinton anyway. Here's the problem I have with that. I can't do that for Bernie Sanders. Why in the entire hell will you think I'm going to do that for Hillary Clinton? If I'm not going to ignore Bernie Sanders' problem on certain issues and I support Bernie Sanders, what in the hell do you think I'm going to do that for Hillary Clinton for? That's number one, right? Number two, it's not practical because it's not going to go away. And pretending and staring at the wall and plugging our ears saying la, 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 it's not going to change the fact that we have a candidate who's very likely going to win these primaries. California, it's up to you, right? Who's very likely to win these primaries, who has as much baggage, if not more, as Donald Trump, going into the general election. Closing our eyes and ignoring the truth is not going to fix that. Now, the question that I've been pondering and trying to figure out for myself is whether or not actually discussing the reality of it, right? Whether or not unpacking the reality of her baggage, the reality of her problems, if that is going to be enough to actually affect change. Otherwise, I'm just bitching. And the truth of the matter is, I don't know. I don't know that even if at the top level people actually discuss this with Hillary Clinton and propose something to her to actually try to fix this, if it is at all fixable, which I don't think it's fixable. I don't think it's fixable because of the culture that they demonstrated when they shut down those two staffers who reported this in the first place. So it's like a one big cluster F of what are we supposed to do now with a broken, damaged candidate going up against somebody like Donald Trump, who still at the end of the day to me is insane. And if Donald Trump's not insane, his supporters, many of his supporters, are insane enough for me not to want to empower them any more than I want to empower Hillary Clinton's supporters. I'm sorry. We are in a very, very bad position here in the United States when we have to choose between somebody like Donald Trump and his supporters and somebody who is proving to be as untrustworthy as Hillary Clinton. Is this the best that we can do in America? All right. A whole lot to say about that. But at the end of the day, the Office of the Inspector General has come down on Hillary Clinton, and there is still an investigation pending from the FBI. It's not going anywhere. And if anything, I think it is, I think it is a part of a surprise coming around the corner. I don't have, how can I say this without, if anything, it's just like one more domino getting ready to fall, right? It's slowly but surely, the picture is being painted right in front of us that this is not going to end well. All right, so this is actually breaking news in conjunction to what we're talking about. This just actually came out at about 5 o'clock today. Hillary Clinton aide moves to block release of a deposition video, and this is being reported by Politico. Hillary Clinton's former chief of staff, Cheryl Mills, is asking a federal judge to order a conservative group not to release audio or video recordings of a deposition Mills is scheduled to give Friday about Clinton's use of private email servers, of a private email server during her tenure as Secretary of State. Mills' attorney filed a motion Wednesday afternoon saying that they fear that the group that sought Mills' deposition in the Freedom of Information Act lawsuit, Judicial Watch, will use any recording to distort Mills' testimony and advance the group's anti-Clinton agenda. All right, I've read enough. This is from Politico.com. David, if you would throw that into the chat room, so everyone can go see it for themselves. This all goes back to the bigger question that I'm answering for myself today, which is, well, actually, no, I'm not answering for myself. I've already answered. I'm not going to cover for Barack Obama. And I like Barack Obama, and I've got plenty of critique of Barack Obama, but I actually like him. I really support Bernie Sanders' policies, but I'm not going to lie to myself or lie to you, the listener, on behalf of Bernie Sanders. I'm not going to do it. And so there's this expectation that's still going around that we should just fall in line, and anybody with a platform of any size should be pounding the war drums, boom, 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 against Donald Trump, which to them means if you're going to oppose Donald Trump, then you have to okay everything Hillary Clinton does. And shit like this, where people are trying to suppress a piece of information from coming out because they are afraid that it would be used against them. Well, hell, that tells you everything that you need to know. Obviously, there's something in this deposition that will be damning to Hillary Clinton. Or else you would not go and seek a court order to suppress it. And so at what point do you just say, we need to get a new candidate? We're running with a candidate who is, if they manage to survive the election and become the first female president of the United States, the first woman president of the United States, if they manage to survive, look at the culture that she fosters. And imagine the lack of transparency and their suppression of voices, whistleblowers, of people who are concerned, simply because of the precedent that they have already set. So if she survives the primary, survives the election, and gets by, what do you think is going to happen when they're in the halls of power and they have that moment that they feel that they are untouchable, because it happens to everybody, especially people with power? I'm sorry. It's really, to thine own self be true. What makes you like my show, if you like my show at all, some of you are just watching because you're trolling me, but that's fine. But what makes you like the show is the fact that I call out hypocrisy, even if it's me being hypocritical. So I'm sure as hell not going to be a quote unquote good Democrat and just fall in line and now all of a sudden pretend like we don't have any, she won fair and square. And we've got to beat the fascist Donald Trump. So let's just spin everything we can to make it look positive. How do you spin this? It's above my pay grade. I'm just not qualified to spin some bullshit like this. I can't do it. I can't. I'm not that good. I'm not that talented. That's not my wheelhouse. So I want somebody who thinks that I should be coming from a let's beat back Donald Trump by supporting Hillary Clinton. I want you to come on my show and show me how the entire hell I'm supposed to spin this. And then even if you do show me how to spin it, I'm going to tell you to kiss my ass, because I'm not going to spin it for you. 857-600-0518. Let's take this first caller. Caller, you are live on the air. What's your name, comment, and or question?
Hello.
Yep. This is you. You're live. Yep. What's on your mind, man?
Scotty from Columbus, Ohio. This whole email scandal proves one thing: is the Bernie Sanders supporters of 2016 are not the same with Hillary Clinton supporters of either 2016 or 08.
Oh yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because the Hillary Clinton supporters, they'll say, well, if Bernie Sanders will win the election, we'll vote for him. But that's because they're loyal Democrats. Mm-hmm. And they don't, but Bernie Sanders supporters don't have a lot of loyalty to the party, because why would they have loyalty to a party that's not even loyal to them? Like, you can basically act as if you're above the law in situations like this, but, that's why I say that they're not the same, and it's more so ideological reasons. Yes, ideological reasons. Like, you know, a lot of Hillary Clinton supporters are fine with the status quo. A lot of them, you know, want to continue Barack Obama's policies. A lot of Bernie supporters, even though some of my supporters of Obama, are critical of Obama and want more liberal policies. Like, I remember when, I think it was the Wisconsin primary, and they said that they actually had, so the poll is, what are you, liberal, conservative, or moderate? And a liberal actually won that poll. And so, like, that's, you know, you could say we're up for ideological realignment. I think it's more so the fact that people are just tired of the establishment.
Yeah. And
the reason why that the Democrats have been able to get away so long with this whole lesser of the two evils argument is because of, I think, a few things. One, because of George W. Bush and the scapegoating of Ralph Nader. I really still do think, and I don't know how you feel about that situation, but anybody out there, we got to stop blaming Ralph Nader for 2000 elections. We got to stop doing that.
Yeah.
Like, so this is why that they'll never. It's gotten to a point where once Bernie Sanders tries to get people to support Hillary Clinton, he'll lose a little bit of credibility because it's not about him. He's just a vessel. No,
I definitely
talking about.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. That's why a lot of people. Thanks a lot for the call, man. That's why a lot of people are very clear on the limitations to their support for even Bernie Sanders. Because it's not about Bernie Sanders. It's about the fact that you said it best, John. He is a vessel of the progressive movement. And if Bernie Sanders turned on his policies, then the people who formerly supported him would turn on him. And this is really, you can see this in the new polling that is coming out. Thank you, Dr. Q, for this, that the share of Bernie Sanders supporters who say they would vote for Hillary Clinton rather than Donald Trump in the general election is decreasing. According to the ABC Washington Post poll in March or April, 77% said that they would support Hillary Clinton rather than Donald Trump. In May, it's gone down to 71%. CBS New York Times poll in March/April, it was 82%. In May, it's gone down to 72%, lost 10 points in 1 month. Now, I'm not clear if this poll says that means they're going to go out and vote for Donald Trump, or are they just going to stay home? I don't know. But if you want me, and so there's a lot of vying, right? There's a lot of vying for voices and the expectation that those voices are going to just be so afraid of Donald Trump that we're going. But that's the problem, folks. I'm not afraid of Donald Trump. And maybe that's my fault. Maybe I'm just an arrogant bastard and I'm just not afraid of too much of anything. The only thing I'm afraid of is not being able to raise my kids. That's the only thing that keeps me up at night, is not being able to raise my kids, right? But other than that, Donald Trump doesn't scare me. Racism doesn't scare me. These people aren't going to disappear if Hillary Clinton wins. Hillary Clinton is not going to make a magic fix to white supremacy and racism, right? So this boogeyman of Donald Trump does not motivate me to try to convince you, the listener, to say, oh, my God, set your hair on fire, and above all else, vote for Hillary Clinton because we're afraid of Donald Trump. I don't have that motivation. It's not in me to do for you because, one, I'm not afraid of Donald Trump. Two, I can't support Hillary Clinton on things that I disagree with her on. So what am I going to do? What I'm going to do if it is Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump, I'm just going to tell you who's lying when they're lying. And I don't care if it's Donald Trump or if it's Hillary Clinton. I think that's going to be a very, and that's the thing. I wouldn't cover for Bernie Sanders lying. So I can't tell you if these numbers, the point I was making before I went off on my tangent, I can't tell you if these numbers represent people who are going to now vote for for Donald Trump over Hillary Clinton, or will they just stay home? All I can tell you is that the closer we get to the general election, the less likely Bernie Sanders supporters are going to support Hillary Clinton. Which takes us to the second story, or I don't know what number I'm on at this point. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, we discussed it a little bit last night. Debbie Wasserman Schultz is in a little bit of trouble. She's in a little bit of trouble because she is going to be the sacrificial lamb for Hillary Clinton in this election. We discussed it last night how key staffers, senior staff members, senators, a lot of people in power are making it clear that they're making moves to get rid of Debbie Wasserman Schultz before the convention. Some of the justifications has been just a lack of trustworthiness, a lack of confidence, her inability to appear unbiased, and her just the amount of baggage that she carries into this election. They are making it clear that they want to get rid of, and when I say they, establishment members. These are not Bernie Sanders supporters. These are establishment players who are pledged, some superdelegates who are even pledged to Hillary Clinton. They have come out, and some of them have just been silent and refused to comment on it, but the rest have said that they are looking for ways to get rid of Debbie Wasserman Schultz. I quoted it last night. They're trying to decide on which color platter to deliver her head to Bernie Sanders supporters. And I think the entire reason behind it is obvious. Two things. One, can you imagine Debbie Wasserman Schultz actually showing up to the DNC to open the convention with, let's say, 40% of the delegates there for Bernie Sanders and 60% of the delegates there for Hillary Clinton? That would be an instant riot. That would be chaos and confusion, because those 40% of people there for Bernie Sanders are absolutely never going to, if they have to bite their tongue for Hillary Clinton, the one person they would never bite their tongue for would be Debbie Wasserman Schultz. So it only makes sense from that point of view to get rid of her, because it's going to cause chaos at your convention. That's number one. Number two, it's because if they, and this is what I think the true motivation is, if they stand a snowball's chance in hell of finding any unity in this party and to bring along the quote unquote Bernie bros who they've been deriding this entire election, if they have any hope of doing that, it's going to take Debbie Wasserman's career on a platter. I'm trying to choose my words carefully because, you know, if I say something wrong, they'll say I'm harassing her and they'll try to come fire me. Oh, that's right. You don't pay my bills. Sorry. And you don't know who pays my bills. So, yeah, it's a ploy to try to get Bernie bros and the rest of us, and all of us are Bernie bros. You know, hell, you could be a 64-year-old black woman who was down with the Black Panther Party. You could be a queer black woman who's in her 60s, is down with the Black Panther Party, and you too can be a Bernie bro. But anyway, this is their way of trying to extend an olive branch. Here's one addendum that I will put. You guys make up your own mind. I don't want to see Debbie Wasserman Schultz in national politics ever again, particularly in Hillary Clinton's cabinet. Because that's just a promotion. That would be a reward for all of the work that she's done. And so simply making her step down from the DNC, that's not enough. I'm sorry, because she's going to step down anyway. Her term is already up. Matter of fact, she's not even concerned about her seat in the 23rd district down there in Davie, Florida, for real, because she knows there's a job waiting for her in the Clinton administration. So she will be perfectly fine with stepping down if that's going to help Hillary Clinton win. Please, come on. We're not born yesterday. There needs to be some assurances that she will not show her face inside of Hillary Clinton's cabinet or any position, top to bottom. If you really want to extend an olive branch, do to her career what you bring it in. Woosah. Do to her career what you guys did. Anyway, You fight, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. You play bullshit, cutthroat politics, you die by bullshit, cutthroat politics. This is not the normal thing that I would recommend for anyone's career, because I think it's not the way that we should play the game. However, this is the way that you have chosen to play this game. You've drawn blood, you have derided the Bernie bros, you've erased everyone's identity. If they're black, it didn't matter, they were a white racist Bernie bro. They were a white dude. If they were a woman, it didn't matter, they were a dude. If they were gay, it didn't matter, they were straight. If they were trans, it didn't matter, they were cis. You erased everything just to push Hillary Clinton. And then you went after key voices and made sure that you got rid of those voices. You went and played a vicious, malicious game. And so we're only sensible for us to return in kind. Right? So Debbie Wasserman Schultz needs to not only step down from the DNC, she needs to also not have any position. I don't care if it's the damn dog catcher. She cannot have any position appointed by Hillary Clinton during Hillary Clinton's tenure. And then maybe, with that assurance, then maybe you can get the Bernie bros to say, we may never support Hillary Clinton, but we won't turn this shit out. We won't turn the convention out. And I can't speak for them, honestly, because they may still show up and turn. I don't know. I'm just saying, for me, you play a cutthroat game, we're going to play a cutthroat game. You do a political hit job on people on our side, fine. We'll do the same there. You really want some support? And I'm actually fueling this. Yes, blame this one on me. I'm actually planting the seeds, spread this word, get the word out. If they really want this to stick, then there needs to be assurances that she does not have a position, that Debbie Wasserman Schultz will not have a position in Hillary Clinton's campaign. Oh, Ben, that's so mean. Hey, that's the game you chose. That's the game that you wanted to play. And so we're going to play your own game. And there's still no assurances, because I can't speak for the Bernie bros. I can only speak for myself. All right. Anyway, sorry. That's the dark side of me. I'm very petty. I'm arrogant and I'm petty. I try to be true. That's the only redeeming value, is that I try to be true. If nobody else, I try to be true to myself. All right, let's take this caller. Caller, you're live on the air. What's your name, comment, and or question?
Hey, Ben, it's Bryce.
Hey, Bryce, how's it going, man? What's on your mind?
Doing good. I wonder if the emails, excuse me, sorry about that. I wonder if the emails is going to hurt her, and I wonder, will it hurt her just in time for these votes coming up next month in California, Jersey, and a lot of other places? I think it can. I mean, I guess it depends if the FBI really, does hold any type of bias. Because I know Turk's talking about it, Senator was talking about it, and it's a possibility that it could affect her in time. I guess we'll see. And as far as Debbie is concerned, yes, she has to go. And even though she's most likely going to go in general, she doesn't need to be part of politics. It needs to cost her out of that whole situation. And last night, I caught the Trump protest in Mexico, and they just went off, and which I tremendously understand why. And I do technically agree with you about the Trump thing. It's just, him being president, I just can't be in this country while it's happening.
Hey, listen, dude, let me tell you, if one thing I'm not going to do is try to convince you otherwise. I'm not in the, thanks for the call, Bryce. I'm not in the convincing business in this election, not this election cycle. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. If you want to vote against Trump and support Hillary Clinton, then by all means, go vote for Hillary Clinton against Donald Trump. If you want to vote for whoever, man, if you want to vote for Jill Stein, go vote for Jill Stein. I'm all for it. I'm not here. All I'm here to do is to see bias and expose it, to see hypocrisy and expose it, to see stupidity and mock it and laugh at it, and all of us have a good hee ha time. Seriously, that's all I'm here for. I'm here to unpack the narratives that they're trying to spin on top of you, the game that you're trying to run on you. I'm here to do that. I'm not going to try to tell you who to vote for, because I understand completely how personal it is. It is very personal. It is something that because I take it very personally, right? I take my freedom of choice very personally. I am not going to turn over my decision-making power to anyone who's trying to assert undue influence. So if I'm not going to do that, I don't expect to do that to you. Right. So if you support Hillary Clinton, and if you feel like there's nothing wrong with all these emails, even after I've talked about it, nothing wrong with how she carries herself, even after all of I said, then by all means, you need to support her, even if it's just opposing Donald Trump. Me personally, I honestly don't know what the hell I'm going to do. I can tell you that much. I mean, our choices are very slim, right? We have a great choice, and we're at the tail end. I mean, it is literally up to California. That's it. California, you're on deck. You're on the clock. It's in your hands. Speaking of California, this is what happens when you prep and forget stuff. But I have his picture here. Your boy, Chris Matthews. Let's talk about Chris Matthews really quick. Chris Matthews was on MSNBC, and he was discussing with Jeff Weaver, the campaign manager for Bernie Sanders, and they were discussing the California primaries. And in that discussion, Chris Matthews let it be known that he has talked to the experts who do numbers, right? He framed it, essentially alluding to, he was speaking about people who do the polling and understand, and they can project winners even with just 2% or even 1%. You know, he said he talked to these people, and they are prepared to call the election for Hillary Clinton on June 7th at 8 p.m., not Pacific time, but Eastern Standard Time, which would be 5 o'clock on the West Coast. And he posed this, and he admitted, he said, I'm getting ready to start some trouble. He said, but I've talked to people around in NBC and elsewhere and other major outlets, and they're ready to, including MSNBC, they're ready to call the election, and not only the primary there in California, but also the primaries in general, to say that the primaries are over at 8 o'clock on the East Coast, even though that would be 5 o'clock on the West Coast, which gives them many hours, at least 3 hours left to go vote on the West Coast. And so the question that he posed out of that statement was to Jeff Weaver, who do you think this is going to hurt more? Is this going to hurt Bernie Sanders supporters more, who need to go vote between 5 and 8, or Hillary Clinton supporters more, who need to go and vote between 5 and 8? Jeff Weaver gave a very politically correct answer, kind of an invasive answer, and said that it's going to hurt everybody, right? Well, the fact of the matter is it's going to hurt everybody, but it's probably going to hurt Bernie Sanders more because they'll be demoralized. A lot of them will just be getting off of work. A lot of them don't have the luxury of staying at home or have a job where they have flexibility. They're working class. They're, across the spectrum. They're young. They may just have a regular job that they get off at 5 o'clock, or they might be working to 8 o'clock and just barely make it, right? There's all types of scenarios of people this will hurt. But most of all, we have seen when media outlets call an election and they do it too soon, we have seen this affect people who are even sitting in line. And so the willingness, and I'm trying to read this from Chris Matthews, right? I honestly feel that if this was something that Chris Matthews approved of, it would be something that he would not mention on national television. And so I'm trying to read this here with Chris Matthews because he has expressed a lot of disdain for Bernie Sanders through this election. I've documented it. There's plenty of videos on it where he's used the Red Scare tactics. Instead of calling Sanders a Democratic socialist, he calls him a socialist and puts it in the same breath as a communist. And, he's been playing this type of game with Bernie Sanders. And so I feel as though this conversation that he's really let the cat out of the bag. I think this may be the limit for him. And I think that this may be something that he disagrees with. Otherwise, he would have kept it internally. So here we are. Next week, they're already ready before the polls are closed to actually announce Hillary Clinton as the winner. Now, the way he cast the conversation was really in the context that he gave the illusion that the people he spoke to would make that call based on the data and based on the numbers. However, we don't know right now today how many people are going to be in line at 5 o'clock. And even if people are in line at 5 o'clock, to intentionally plan to do something like this undermines our democracy. It over elevates the role of the media beyond, right? It actually makes the media an influencer in voter turnout the night of the primary. So this just thinks every which way. Chris Matthews let the cat out of the bag, and he said that he was really going to just start some trouble with this. And it should be trouble, because this is not a role that the media should be playing before the polls close. If you make the call the moment the last poll closes, that's something different. Ideally, you would not make the call until the last person has voted, but realistically, we don't need that in order to make some statistical analysis to determine who wins. But at a bare minimum, should we not practice waiting till the polls are closed to make these types of calls? And it just shows you, the willingness of the media to play a role that they are not created to play. And it shows you how ready the media establishment is to put Bernie Sanders away. They're so ready. They've been making plans to announce Hillary Clinton as the winner before the polls close in California on Tuesday. Let's take this caller. Caller, you're live on the air. What is your name? I guess that's going to be my phone call image for the rest of the night. What is your name, comment, and or question?
Hi, it's John from Mississippi.
John, what's on your mind, man?
Hey, I actually want to give Jeff Weaver a bit of applause today for standing up against and calling out the elitism of Barbara Boxer.
Yep.
I know you're following the story, but for anybody who doesn't know, he went ahead and called BS on her claim that she felt threatened at the convention.
Yep.
And I'm glad he did it, because it was BS. And we all know what the conclusion is if you don't stand up to that kind of thing. It becomes this weird sort of bullying.
Yep.
By playing the victim card. And it's more important to stand up to it because Barbara Boxer is a woman in power.
Yeah.
And she is trying to equate protest and dissent with violence.
Mm-hmm.
And that's authoritarianism. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we discussed. Hey, John, thanks so much for the call, man. I agree with you on that. You're using it's a soft type, it's a backdoor type of authoritarianism, right? It's a not a brute force. It's not the type of choose your authoritarianism. How do you want to be dictated? I don't know if that's the right way to use it, but I use it anyway. How do you want to be ruled? Do you want to be ruled by the iron fist of a Donald Trump, or the manipulative, the manipulations, the identity politics manipulations, and the feigning of victimhood by people like Hillary Clinton, Barbara Boxer, Neera Tanden, Joan Walsh, all the rest of them, and the entire echo chamber that, oh God, we've been assaulted. Somebody dared to disagree with us on Twitter. Our lives we're so oppressed. And as a result of that soft approach, they silence dissent. They crush and remove opposition. I don't care how you cut it. It's still authoritarianism. It is still political. What's the word I'm looking for? It's still this political persecution. That's what I'm looking for. It's still the same result. Whether you throw somebody in jail because they disagree with you, or you get somebody fired because they disagree with you, it is the same result. and you get them fired and they can no longer use the platform that they've built because oh God, he called me scumbag Steve. I don't know, whatever will I do? And then you have the echo chamber of people like Joyanne Reed who are like, oh no, he didn't. And then you have all the rest of them like, man, this is just preposterous. These Bernie bros are such misogynists. And then it creates this echo chamber. And all of a sudden you get weak leaders running institutions that they don't have the backbone or the spine to deserve leadership positions in to underscore this and co-sign this and fire people. Y'all know I'm talking about Matt. You know I'm talking about Matt and Demos and all the rest of them. But this is exactly how they operate. This is how they've been operating. This is how they're going to continue to operate. And this is the type of bullshit that absolutely must stop. You should be able to look opposition in the face and hear them say the very worst about you and you not flinch and stand your ground and prove your point based on the merits of your point instead of running like a chicken shit coward behind fake identity politics and fake outrage. And that is about as angry as you're going to see me get tonight because I work too many hours, walk too many. It doesn't look like it, but I walk a lot. That's as much as you're going to see me get angry. I'm not even going down that road, except to go here. Twitter beef. Here we go. I'm going to wrap Elizabeth Warren into this. Twitter beef. A lot of Twitter beef going on. Let's talk about Elizabeth Warren's Twitter beef with Donald Trump. It continues. I went down Elizabeth Warren's timeline today, and in the last probably 25 to 30 tweets, I only saw one tweet that was not her grandstanding against Donald Trump. Yes, it's grandstanding, and I'm sorry, Elizabeth Warren. As much as I like you and respect you, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of your Twitter beef with Donald Trump because, to me, it's petty. It is not becoming of a senator. It is Donald Trump bringing you down to his level. And most of all, beyond any of that, it's grandstanding when you were quiet during the primaries. I would have more respect for you if you came out in favor of Hillary Clinton and then now do your thing against Donald Trump. Matter of fact, I want to see, I'm trying to think of a prominent female voice that endorsed Hillary Clinton on the level of Elizabeth Warren. Somebody throw it in the chat room real quick. I can't think of anybody, but I would rather see someone else who actually put their ass on the line for Hillary Clinton do this surrogate work. Because to me, it's just, I really am tired of seeing Elizabeth Warren, who sat on the sideline not only for Bernie Sanders, but she sat on the sideline for Hillary Clinton. She did not have the backbone to put her name out there and put her reputation on the line. And it wouldn't be a problem, right, if she just stay out of this entire election. You sat out on the primaries, one of the most defining primaries in a long time, where the choice was really between a corporatist and a progressive, right? And you set out on that and left it to just work itself out. For whatever reasons, you have your calculus, fine, you have your calculus. But the fact of the matter is, you're betraying yourself by all of these grand overtures going against Donald Trump, reasserting yourself as a power player with a strong voice that you did not bother to lend to either Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders. Now, clearly, I would have wanted you to do this for Bernie Sanders, but I could have still mustered up, for instance, like Bakari Sellers. I'm still waiting for somebody to hit me with a name. Bakari Sellers, right? If Bakari, I want to see, and I would rather have a name of a woman right now because everyone is going to say, oh, Ben's being misogynistic. No, Bakari Sellers has put his reputation on the line for Hillary Clinton. And he's been in this fight, and he's shown the backbone and the fortitude to put his reputation on the line for something he believes. So I would much rather see somebody like him go up head to head. You know, he's not a national figure, but you get the point. And I'm sure there's a national figure. It's just escaping me right now. I'm sure there's somebody obvious that I could point to, but I got Claire McCaskill. Thank you. Somebody threw Claire McCaskill in there. I would rather see Claire McCaskill go head to head with Donald Trump. because she has put her name and reputation on the line. You don't get to grandstand after the real fight. This is like somebody coming in. You know what? Damn it! This is like George Bush flying onto the deck of hell, I can't think of the word now. Flying on the deck of the ship and landing and saying victory's declared, mission accomplished. That's what he said. After the fight has been won. This is like somebody running into a fight at school after everyone else is already bloodied. The fight is over, and this is like them coming and kicking the bully while the bully is already down. So the Twitter beef between it's just stop. I'm personally, it's just a personal thing to me. It's a leadership. It's not even just a personal thing. It's a leadership thing. It's a leadership thing. You didn't show up for anybody. And Donald Trump is the easiest target out of everyone. He is by far the easiest person to attack. Hell, my 5-year-old can clap back against Donald Trump. So you're not showing the fortitude by being willing. Matter of fact, anyway, let's talk about another Twitter beef. And I don't really call this a beef. This is just a general PSA. Here's a general PSA for anyone on Twitter who addresses me. I have to say it like that. Anyone on Twitter who comes for me, right? Don't come for me unless I send for you. It's just in your best interest. I'm not even going to give your name airtime, but you know who you are. The many of you guys know who you are. Don't come for me online because I'm obviously not the one. I'm the dude that's got nothing to lose. I'm the dude that's building all this on his own. I don't owe anybody anything. Can't nobody shut me down. If Pac-Man doesn't want me in the studio anymore, I still got my gear at the crib. I'm the dude that's not going to go away because I'm the one that once I get off of work at 6 o'clock, I catch the train to another train to the I almost said my address, to another location. Then I walk about a mile to get here to the studio because I'm dedicated to what I do. I'm the guy that has nothing to lose. Don't come for me. I'm also the guy that's an arrogant asshole, right? I relish in people trying to come after me. Twitter is not the place to do it. It's just in everybody. I would much rather have a calm, nice, pleasing experience. But if we go there, we're going to go there. And I'm not going to stop until it's over. So just it's just advice for people who pop up in my timeline now, I guess because I got enough followers for people to actually care. All right, I get it. You're going to try to come for me. You're going to try to tell me, to what I'm supposed to be doing. You're going to try to lecture me and all these kind of things. I just don't think it's in your best interest because, one, I'm the person, nothing to lose. Two, you can't scare me. You can't take nothing from me because you didn't give anything to me in the first place. And I got 99 problems, but Twitter is not one. Folks, I'm out of here.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog, join the Progressive Army, and support The Benjamin Dixon Show. It's Ben Dixon! If you like this episode, be sure to share, like, and subscribe.
Consider becoming a Patreon. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and support The Benjamin Dixon Show.
After the show, it's the after party, and after the party, it's the hotel lobby. I've got to take a minute because I went over doing a phone call like I promised, and I went over to get my notebook so I can thank my 2 latest patrons. It's in here somewhere, and while I do that, I want to say, oh, here we go. James R., thank you for becoming a patron. Alcie L., or I believe it's either Alcie or Alici L. Thank you so much for becoming a patron. You can support the Benjamin Dixon Show by going to the BPD Show. Going to patreon.com/the BPD Show and becoming a patron. You can support with $1. You can support with $100, whatever you want to do. But I said this at the top of the show, but thank you, everybody. Thank you. We have crossed 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. We're maybe 100 away from crossing 10,000 on Spreaker, on the internet show. Thank you guys so much. Go over there and subscribe. I think that's it. I am out of here, and you guys have a good night.
It's Ben Dixon!
He's a radio show host or something like that.
You're damn right I am.